Merry Christmas, everyone! I am Samuel Johnson in my once again poorly lit room, and welcome back to the Ben 10 Retrospectives. And today we're going to be talking about episode 25 of the original Ben 10 series, Dr. Animo and the Mutant Ray. And to be honest, as a kid, this was one of my favorite episodes, if just for what happens, if just for something that happens in it. But nowadays, I wouldn't really put it up there as one of my favorites anymore. I still think it's entertaining, it for what it is, but I wouldn't really hold it to such a high regard as I did as a kid, so anyway, the premise. In this episode, as you can tell by the title, Dr. Animo returns, but that's not really how it starts. In fact, in this episode, Ben is the Tennysons go to Florida and they go to a swamp, and it's because there's going to be a celebration called Gator Fest at that swamp the next day, and Max wants to beat the crowd, but while there, Ben has a screwdriver to the Omnitrix, and he's just messing with it. Gwen and Max tell him not to do it, but he doesn't listen, and in the process, he causes the faceplate of the Omnitrix to completely to come off, and causing an explosion of some kind. And for the most part, the Omnitrix still looks like it still functions, but the hourglass symbol is now halfway to the diamond that shows the selecting the alien, and likewise again, faceplate's not on there. But Ben tries to hide it as best he can. He gets some gum and sticks the faceplate to the Omnitrix, but it's obviously doing something because in the spot where the faceplate landed, some worms crawled up, and the next day we see that those worms have now turned into some kind of weird hybrids between themselves and Stinkfly. But while at Gatorfest, Dr. Animo attacks as he somehow knows who Ben is, which I don't really know if they explain that. They don't, because he knows that Ben has these superpowers now, and I can't think of a moment in Washington B.C. where Dr. Animo was aware of Ben getting superpowers, but I'll just talk about that later. So Ben decides to go alien, but the faceplate at this point has come off because gum is not really a suitable thing is not a suitable solvent or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the word. So Ben goes hero, but it turns out that the faceplate coming off causes even more damage, as not only is Ben unable to select his alien, but when he does transform, he now turns into a combo. In this case, the first form is Stink Arms, a fusion between Stinkfly and Forearms, of course. And while Ben is obviously has more weaknesses now, he's able to defend himself pretty well against Dr. Animo's frog, which Dr. Animo is still around. But during the fight, Dr. Animo finds the faceplate, and after seeing it mutate a small little crab, he takes it away. He retreats, and Ben tells Gwen and Max about the that he broke the Omnitrix, but we then see that Dr. Animo has now weaponized the faceplate with a telescope, which he turned into a laser, and now using the laser, he can now mutate anything he wants into a hybrid between itself and one of Ben's aliens, which the first one thing he does is transform a giant bat into a heat blast bat. So pretty much the rest of the episode is just the Tennysons trying to find Dr. Animo, trying to get the faceplate back before he uses it to cause even further harm. And also Ben kind of dealing with some more fallout from his actions. So yeah, immediate positive is Dr. Animo, because I mentioned in my Washington B.C. vlog how he is just batshit insane, and that's pretty much how he is here. He's still crazy, and he wants revenge on Ben for his last defeat, of course, but he's still over the top. He still wants all the glory. He's still just going over. He's just still acting nuts, and it is glorious to watch. Like, the very first moment he meets Ben, he goes into a rant about how I will have my vengeance. I will have my place in the history books. Yada, yada, yada. It's just it's amusing. I might go so far to say maybe in the beginning it's the first Washington B.C. is better, but it's still pretty amusing, and just the level of how much he just likes to ham it up. Like when the Tennysons confront him in his base, they ask for when they demand the faceplate back. He says, "Oh, I shall put it to good use." And it's just amusing. He's just still fun to watch even here, and Another positive I like is just kind of Ben dealing with fallout from his actions again, which again we've seen this before, but but we have probably established that those lessons don't always sink in. They usually do, but Ben's still 10, he's still learning. But in this case, another thing that I liked and I still like is the fusion aliens, which are actually pretty creative. Because I mentioned the first one was Stink Arms, which in this case each one is a hindrance, but they're all still creative in their own ways. Like Stink Arms has the body of forearms with some parts that are obviously Stinkfly. Like he's got Stinkfly's eyes, he's got his voice, he's got a bit of his outfit, he's got his tail, and he's got his wings. And even the Omnitrix is on his head now instead of on his arm. And as such, both hinder each other, because with Stinkfly's DNA and forearms, he's not as strong, and with Form's DNA and Stinkfly, he can't fly. He's too heavy to fly, so he has to try and work around these. And then the second one we see is that Dr. Animo 6, the Heat Blast battle on the Tennysons. The second one's called Diamond Matter, again, Diamond Head and Gray Matter, and in this case, it's not a complete. It's pretty much a combination. In this case, it's a more combination. Like it has Gray Matter's eyes and his body type, but it's all crystalline. It's got all of Diamond Head's powers, and it's not as small as Gray Matter. Like it's just kind of the size of a toddler, so to speak. So it's just kind of that's a nice mix between the two, and finally the last one is Heat Jaws, which admittedly I don't think is very creative. I mean, in terms of abilities, he can be creative because he's a mix between Heat Blast and Rip Jaws, which are not good combinations, which even Ben points out. As the more Ben uses Heat Blast powers, the more Rip Jaws suffers. But admittedly, I think what helps make that work is that when Ben, because like every time Ben goes Rip Jaws, he's slowly losing air. So when he does get in the water, his Heat Blast powers aren't destroyed. Like I think they're slightly diminished, but they're still very useful. Like he uses it to kind of get the frog into have a cardiac arrest, but then when the Heat Blast bat's diving at him, he just causes an explosion of hot water, which knocks it aside. Which I think is actually really nice. But honestly, I think the design is just not that great. Because it's just pretty much the head and the chest and torso of Wild Mutt or Ripjaws. Sorry, I got the names mixed up. And the arms and legs, and voice of Heat Blast, with the only kind of major nice combinations that instead of fins or whatever on his back, it's fire. So, yeah. Again, admittedly not one of my favorite episodes. Again, but I probably should point out what I didn't like in this case. I usually just talk about what I do, but I think in this case, one of the things that I didn't like was a plot hole, pretty much. Like I think I did mention how Dr. Animo knows how Ben is. Well, they don't explain how. Like, okay, I think you might be able to make the excuse that Dr. Animo put 2 and 2 together because every time the aliens appeared, the Tennysons did, and Ben was the one that stopped him in the first place when he was at the supermarket. But I don't know. It just kind of they don't really, but they don't explain how he knew his name, how he figured out, how he kind of put them both together. It's just he knows that Ben has superpowers now, which they don't really talk about very well. That's kind of a plot hole. And again, I think another flaw could easily be Ben being kind of dumb. Like I think we've seen Ben act like an idiot, and admittedly this isn't going to be the last time he does that. He acts like a moron, but in this case, it's just him, just the idea that he's messing with the Omnitrix, and I think there have been times when he's seen how bad it can get if he has messed with it. So let me think. I'm trying to think. Is there times when that's happened? The closest I can think of is when he went gray matter. Is in a small problem where he went gray matter, but I don't know. It just kind of seems like it just kind of feels dumb. Like maybe it's because he's a kid. He's just naturally curious, and we know Ben is stubborn. But it just kind of feels. But it just I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right to me. That Ben would just do that. But again, those are just minor complaints. The whole episode I think is fine. Dr. Ammo is still gloriously hammy. I liked the I liked the combo aliens. I liked Ben, and I kind of liked seeing Ben dealing with these repercussions. And he knows right away that what he did was wrong, and that what he did is wrong, as he immediately knows all the bad things. Like he points them all out himself. Like he even knows Gwen is dying to just say "I told you so," but he's just doing such a good job at guilt tripping himself that she's not even gonna try. But I don't know. On the whole, I don't. Again, it's not one of my favorite episodes. But I still think it has some creative stuff. I still love Dr. Animo. I like the combo aliens. I like Ben dealing with these repercussions. And while I do kind of wonder why, and I still kind of question why he would do all this in the first place. On the whole, I still think it's a good episode. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and tune in for the final week of 2016 where we look at the final episode of Season 2. So, again, thank you for watching. Merry Christmas to you all. I am Samuel Johnson, and I will see you next week. Take care.